A lot of people have asked me to cover what is being referred to in multiple instances as a bank run, bank collapse. People are using the word bailout to describe what's going on with the Silicon Valley Bank and some other banks that have not, been doing so well in the context. And people have asked me to inform why this stuff is happening to all the uneducated viewers out there. I'm going to tell you why that's happening. And but first, let's get a recap what happened. So Silicon Valley Bank is they fucked up. They didn't have enough cash on hand, blah, blah, blah. Interest rates, they fucked them over. Risky investments, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? They're gone, so. Okay, they're done. The FDIC, for whatever reason, is uncapping the regular $250,000 FDIC insurance. They're uncapping it. So they said that they're going to make every depositor whole, even if they had more than $250,000. I think that's strange because that's illegal. Technically, the law says $250,000 is the cap. If you're going to give them more without passing a new law, I don't know, man, that's a little weird, but hey, whatever. Everyone's calling it a bailout because that's what it is. It's a bailout. So if that triggers you for whatever reason, okay. But people have, they've been researching into how did these banks collapse? What happened? Let's roll back the clock a week ago. Did anyone know this was happening a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, etc.? Well, some members of Congress and some members of state houses, state senators and all that stuff, some people that are not even really politicians, but, in the political sphere, they figured it out. They have identified the core principal reason why there's this ongoing economic crisis. And again, who knows what the echoes of this will be? Who knows if this will affect other banks or other institutions? Another fun fact is that Bitcoin is up 15% today. So if you had Bitcoin, you're making money from this. So, hey, just throwing that out there. I had Bitcoin. I sold my Bitcoin this morning. So that being said, why are these banks collapsing? What happened? What led to this moment? Well, I've got the answer. Amid bank collapse, Kansas, Missouri senators criticize Biden for rescuing woke banks. That's right. For those of you that don't know what a woke bank is, let's read this article. Amid the largest bank collapse in 15 years, Republican U.S. senators for Kansas and Missouri rebuked the Biden administration on Monday for protecting depositors at the failed Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. Republican senators Josh Hawley, Eric Schmidt, and Roger Marshall portrayed SVB with its tech-heavy customer base as a woke bank. The bank is woke. A criticism that appeared intended to funnel the crisis into a culture war context and sidestep calls for tighter regulation from Democrats. So, again, I'm just being honest with you. The idea that cryptocurrency-based banking, which is Signature Bank, they do a lot of stuff with cryptocurrency, and Silicon Valley Bank, which is heavily involved in the tech sector, the idea that those two groups are now woke, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I'm just saying, that's hilarious. If you were to describe to me, the least woke community online, I would have to say the cryptocurrency community. I would have to say the tech community. They are very anti-woke. But now they're waking up to find out that they have been woke the whole time. So if you are a tech bro, if you're a crypto bro, again, you are now finding out you're woken up and now you found out you've been woke for God knows how long. And let's keep reading. Even as the lawmakers signaled they would oppose any bailout of banks, several regional banks came under strain Monday. Kansas City-based UMB Financial Corp's stock stumbled, but the bank said it was on solid footing. Congress also faced scrutiny for scaling back financial regulations on mid-sized and community banks in 2018 under former President Donald Trump. The rollback affected standards that were put in place in 2009 following the financial crisis that spurred the Great Recession. So basically what happened was, overnight, what was previously qualified as a big bank is now a mom and pop shop. Overnight. You know, the bank is actually growing because we live in a growth-based economy. So they're getting more and more money. They're making more and more risky investments. They're making more and more deposits and all that stuff, loans and all that. So they're getting bigger. Just snap of the fingers, they go from a big bank to a mom and pop shop, according to United States regulations that were redone under the Donald Trump administration. Of course, a bunch of Democrats got in on that. Why? Because we have the filibuster. Remember the 60-vote threshold? So Democrats actually broke through the filibuster to make sure Donald Trump was able to reclassify big banks as mom and pop banks. Pretty cool. I love that shit. It's super fun when that happens. President Joe Biden on Monday said his administration would look into why the banks failed and pin the blame on the 2018 rollback of regulations. Now, what's also interesting is that, of course, Joe Biden is a failure and a loser and fucking sucks as a president. Why didn't Joe Biden and the Democratic caucus, when they had a trifecta, what is a trifecta? They had control of the House of Representatives, control of the U.S. Senate, and control of the White House, right? They don't anymore, right? But when they did, why didn't they do anything about it? Why? Because they don't actually give a fuck, right? So when Joe Biden goes up there and says, we're going to look into why this is happening, no, they're not going to look into why this is happening. They're not going to solve any of the problems, and they're just going to hope that you forget by election time and then just pretend like they solved all the problems that they themselves created. So that's what we're dealing with here. Quote, unfortunately, the last administration rolled back some of these requirements. Biden said, I'm going to ask Congress and the banking regulators to strengthen the rules for banks. Again, if he actually cared, he would have done it a year ago, a year and a half ago. He would have done it 2 years ago. But instead, he was too busy, I don't know, going to cocktail bars with Joe Manchin or whatever the fuck they were doing, right? Some dumbass fucking shit. But anyway, you can read the rest of this if you want. Actually, I do want to read this because I want to see what more about the woke stuff. Hawley said he plans to propose a bill that would prevent banks from passing those fees on to customers and would prevent small banks from having to pay the fees at all. So these SVB guys spend all their time funding woke garbage. Now, what is woke garbage? Well, woke garbage is literally any tech company. Any tech company is woke garbage, right? Climate change solutions is woke, I guess, rather than actual banking. Now, what would be actual banking? Right, I'm just curious. What is actual banking? I don't know. He doesn't really go into that. Quote, this is from some other person. I don't actually care about this. Anyway, so there you go. There's your primer, I guess. Essentially, bullet points. The government rolled back regulations that were already too lenient. They overnight reclassified big banks as mom and pop shops, right? I love the law. I love legalese. Then one of these mom and pop banks, super small time bank, mom and pop shop, basically they got fucked, right? And you can blame the government. The government's been fucking around with interest rates. You can blame inflation. You can blame whatever you want. I say all of the above. The bank was too risky, and they did not diversify their assets enough. 2, they should have had more cash on hand given the industry. 3, the government kind of did fuck them over with the interest rate bullshit, but hey, again, it is your job to see that kind of stuff coming and act accordingly. And that's pretty much it. Then it collapsed. Now Joe Biden is basically saying that there is going to be no bailout, even though a bailout was already announced. They already announced a bailout while Joe Biden is going around saying there's no bailout. I don't really know what that is. And now Republicans are calling it woke. Now, one of the things that is not written here for why that they're calling Silicon Valley Bank woke is because there is someone on the board, whatever board there is, I didn't look into it too much, that happens to be a lesbian. So they actually allowed a gay woman to work at the bank, and therefore it's woke. That was what I believe the origin of these conspiracies are. I think Donald Trump Jr. was tweeting about how there was a gay woman on the staff of the bank, and therefore if she's gay, the whole bank is woke, that kind of stuff. You know, I didn't really look into that too much because, you know, it's a waste of my time to look into it. But there you go. That's what we're dealing with here. And it's just another day in shithole USA where a bunch of dumb motherfuckers talk about stupid ass shit and no one actually cares about what's really going on, because why bother fixing problems when you can just look at everything and say woke, 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 woke. Whatever. Dumbass shit, but there you go.